Hello guys, good morning. Today we're on lesson number 4. We're going to be working with graphing and two-step problems. What does it mean, a two-step problem? Well, two operations that you have to do before you solve the problem. So we have to be really careful reading these problems. But before that, I wanted to check something with you because I noticed some of you made some mistakes on the activities from yesterday. And I just wanted to double check that some things are clear. So let's say I want to show you this graph right here, and this graph is showing us some information about third grade families and the number of children that they have. So they went around and they asked many families from third grade, asking if they have one child, two children, three children, or four children in their families. Okay. So let's count, and right here, and this is something very important that you have to look for. Every time you're going to read a graph, you have to see what's the scale. You have to see what's the value of each little x here, for example, that they're giving us. So right here it says that 1x means one child, okay? So we're going to count, and you're going to help me figuring it out. We're going to count the families that have only one children. So if 1x is worth 1, so we just count by ones. So the families that have one child are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So one child, 8 families has it, right? And we could even represent this as a tape diagram with 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and I think I need one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Let me just erase. I think I have one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so how many families have 2 children? We're right here. How many families have 2 children? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 9 families have 2 children. So we will have to draw probably this plus one more, right? So I cut, and each square represents 1. Okay, we have 9 right there. Let's move on. How many families have 3 children? And we count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 6 families have 6 children. Let's see, we have 6. 2, 4, 6. I think I made it this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And how many families has only 4 children? Only 2 families have 4 children. So we're going to put here. Sorry. Okay, now I'm confused. So the number of families that had 4 children are 2. And I'm just going to draw right here my 2. Okay? So this will be how it looks like if we're using a tape diagram. This is a graphing. This is a tape diagram. Okay? What I want you to notice that we start at the same point. Okay? It's important that we start at the same point so we can really appreciate which bar is longer. If you start drawing this one right here, then it's not going to be even to compare, okay? So you start at the same point with all of them, so it helps you to look at and to be able to see which one was longer. Okay, in this second exercise, which is also just reviewing what we did yesterday, they are showing us the number of minutes spent practicing piano. There are 1, 2, 3, 4 people or 4 children that have been practicing piano, and they show us how long each one has been practicing. But look at this, we have a different scale here. Remember, right here the scale was 1, right? Because 1x, the value is 1 child. But in this one, look at here, we don't have x, but we have squares, right? So look, from 0 to 10, so that means this space is worth 10. So we have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, and 70. But as we can see right here in the middle, there is a line, and that line is being placed there to help us figure it out when it's between the 30 and the 40. So right here in this line between the 30 and the 40 will be what? 35, correct? And I'm going to draw that here so we remember. Right here will be 35, right? Between 40 and 50 will be 45. 50 and 60 will be 55, and so on, okay? So let's figure it out how many minutes each one of them spend practicing the piano. Let's get started with the first one, Ryan. So we have Ryan right here, and he spends 10, 20, 30, and 5 more, 35, because it's right there in the middle. So we're just going to write it down right here. Ryan spent 35 minutes. Okay, let's move to the next one. Carrie. How long was Carrie practicing the piano? So if each one of these squares is worth 10, so 10, 20, 30, and 40, because the shade is complete, right? So I just write Carrie. It's been practicing 40 minutes. Okay, let's see Brian. For how long has been Brian practicing? Let's see. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. 60 minutes. Okay, and the last one is Lizzie. Lizzie's been practicing for 20 minutes only. Okay. Okay, right here I want you to help me figure now who was the person that has been practicing more time. Who is the person that has been practicing more time? We can see with the numbers now, which is easier. Is it 35, 40, 60, or 20? Well, the person that has been practicing more time is Brian. He's been practicing more time. Who's been practicing the least time? Who's not been really practicing piano? Let's see. We can either look at the bars and we can see the smaller bar, or we can just look at the time, right? At the minutes. So this one is the one that hasn't really been practicing a lot. Okay. Another question that maybe we can get out of this problem is, how much more time has Brian practiced than Liz? How much more time has Brian practiced than Liz? What would I have to do? So if Brian has practiced 60 and Liz has practiced 20, what do? I just subtract, and my answer right here is 40. So Brian has been practicing 40 minutes more than Liz, and that will be my answer, right? Brian has been practicing 40 minutes more, I run out of space, than Liz. Okay? Okay, this is going to be one of those activities or problems that I'm going to help you through. And the next one, you have to do it as your own activity at home. Okay, so let's read first. That's what we always do. We read first. This chart below, shows the number of magazines sold by each student. So we have two lines with different information. In the first one, we have the name of the students. We have Ben, Rachel, Jeff, Stanley, and Debbie. And on the next one, we have the number of magazines that each one of them sold. Okay? Ben sold 300, Rachel 250, Jeff 100, Stanley 450, Debbie 600. Okay? So let's see what are they asking us for. A, use the chart to draw a bar graph below. So with this information, we have to make a chart right here. Create an appropriate scale for the graph. A scale means what numbers are we going to use here? Because two pieces of information that we have is the name of the students, which we're going to place somewhere around here, and we have the number of magazines that each one of them sold. So, and that's going to be placed somewhere here. Okay, so we're going to get started. Let's see. Let's start with the names, I think. So the first person that I'm going to draw, the name is Ben. Okay. The second person I will draw, the name is Rachel. I'm going to keep the order right there. And the next one is going to be Jeff. The next one is going to be Stanley, but I'm just going to leave it right there in Stan because I don't think I can fit all of them. And Debbie. Okay? The next important thing that you really have to think about is what numbers are going to go right here. What numbers should I put in each line that goes here? How do we figure it out? We have to notice what is the least or the smaller number we have here. 300, 250, 100, 450, and 600. Which one is the smallest one? The smallest one is this one, right? So I'm just going to write it here. We have 100. And which one is the highest number that we have here? If we look at the chart, what is the highest number from my chart? Is 600, right? So I'm just going to write it next to it. Okay, so our range of numbers goes from 100 all the way to 600. Okay, so what are we going to do? We're going to, what do you think? Should we go by 50s? Should we go by 100s? Because we have to make them, we have to fit those numbers right here. What do you think? Let's see, we have, if we put by 50s and I start by 100 right here, and then I go 150 and then 200 and then 250 and then 300 and then 350. Can I make it all the way to 600? No. So would this work? No, it doesn't work. So I have to try another scale. If I do it by hundreds, I think maybe it would fit. Let's see. So we have 100, 200s, 300, 400, 500, 600. Ooh, I think this will work better, right? Okay, but I'm going to give you a little help. Right in the middle, between 100 and 200. If we have here 100 and 200, what will go right here in the middle? It will go 150, right? So right here in the middle will be 150, and right here will be 250, and right here will be 350, and 450, and 550. Those were just little helps that I'm putting right there, okay? So it says that Ben sold 300. So we're going to draw a bar that goes all the way to 300. Right here. And I will go down, correct? Rachel says that she sold 250. Remember, we cannot go all the way up here because that will be 300. But remember the halfway? We have 250 like around here. So we have to make it a little lower than Ben. So we're going to do 250 probably right here, okay? And then we have Jeff. Jeff sold only 100. So it will be like this because it's very low, right? And then we have Stan. Stan sold 450. So he sold 450. We're going to go all the way, more or less, to where he is at. I'm trying to make it. Oh, okay. I think it could be okay. And then Debbie sold 600. And I'm going to make it all the way up because she's the one that sold the most. Okay? So we are done with this part right here, placing all the information in the graph, using the information from a chart, taking into account my scale that will work for me right here. And then the next move is we're going to continue with. Okay, so let's get started with the letter B now. The letter B says, explain why you choose the scale for the graph. The scale means this. How did we know how to choose these numbers? Okay, we kind of made the analysis here that we chose the first number was 100, and that was the smallest number, and this one was the biggest number, the 600. And we noticed that it goes by hundreds, and in two of them goes halfway. So that's why we chose hundreds, right? Because also it was the number of lines that they give us here to set up the number. So that's what we're going to explain right here. And we're going to say something like this. I chose hundreds because the numbers on the chart were hundreds or halfway. They were either hundreds, like 300, 100, 600, or they were halfway, 250, 450, 350, and so on. Okay, let's move to the next one, letter C. How many fewer magazines did Debbie sell than Ben and Stanley combined? So we have to combine Ben and Stanley. So let's see, Ben has 300 and Stanley has 450. So the total between both of them is 750, correct? Okay, and the question says how many fewer magazines did Debbie sell? Fewer, less than. So we have to take this total number right here, 750, which was the amount that Ben and Stanley combined sold, and we minus what Debbie sold, which was 600. Okay, so this gives me a total of 150. And then I write my answer. I have to say that Debbie sold 150 less magazines than Ben and Stanley. Period. Okay, and now we move on to the last one, and it says, how many more magazines did Debbie and Jeff sell than Ben and Rachel? So here we have to find out Debbie and Jeff together. Let's just add it up really quick. Debbie had 600 and Jeff sold 100. So both of them, they sold 700, correct? And then we have Ben and Rachel. Ben sold 300. We're going to do it here, 300. And then Rachel sold 250. And this is a total of 550. So how many more magazines did Debbie and Jeff sold than Ben and Rachel? So what do we do now? We minus to see how much more Debbie and Jeff sold. So we do 700, which was my first answer, minus 550. This is a total of 250. So now I have to do my full answer. Debbie, I'm going to start here. Debbie and Jeff sold 250 more magazines than Ben and Rachel. And that's it. Okay, we're done with this. The next page, which is this one, it's going to be your activity for today. If you have any question, just let me know. Remember, read every single step.